Okay, so today we will study a new chapter, sequences and series. So if we had a collection of objects and that collection is numbered, we say this is the first object, this is the second object, this is the third object, this is the fourth object, and so on. We can clearly say that this is the first object, this is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, and so on. Then this collection is known as a sequence. For example, if we have a sequence of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, this is a sequence. We can clearly say this is the first object in the sequence, this is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, this is the fifth, and so on. So this is a sequence. Now a sequence can be finite or infinite. If there are finite number of terms, then the sequence is finite. If the sequence is not finite, then it is called infinite. So if there are in this sequence, how many terms will be there? If we keep on continuing, there will be infinite number of terms. So this is not a finite sequence. So since it is not finite, therefore it is infinite. If we have this sequence which consists of only these 4 numbers, then it has finite number of objects in it, therefore it is a finite sequence. Now we define the nth term of a sequence. Nth term of the sequence is the term which is placed at number n, 2, 3, 4, n, and so on. This is the nth term. It is denoted by an. For this sequence, the nth term will be 2n minus 1, n greater than equal to 1. The nth term for this sequence is this. We put the value of n is equal to 1, we get 1. We put n is equal to 2, we get 3. We put n is equal to 3, we get 5. And we can generate all our numbers from this term. So this is the nth term or the general term for this sequence. Now what is a series? If we have a sequence A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, and so on, we have the sequence with us. If we add them, and so on, if we add them, then this is known as a series for this sequence. This is known as series for this sequence. Now this series will be finite or infinite depending whether the sequence is finite or infinite. If the sequence is finite, then the series will also be finite. If the sequence is infinite, then the sequence will also be infinite. So this is, we just add these objects and we get a series corresponding to this sequence. Now if we are given that our nth term is 2n minus 1, we need to find a third term and fourth term. So nth term is this. So the first term is given by, put n is equal to 1 and n greater than equal to 1. So first term will be given by n is equal to 1, a1. a1 will be a first term, that is 2 into 1 minus 1, that is 1. a2, that is n is equal to 2, will be 2 into 2 minus 1, this is 3. a3 will be 2 into 3 minus 1, that is equal to 5. We needed to find a4. We had to find a3 and a4. a3 we have found. We substitute n is equal to 3 and found a3. Now we substitute n is equal to 4 and we find a4. This is our a4 and this is our a3. That's how we find the third term and fourth term if the nth term is given. So usually we are given an nth term and we need to find third term, fourth term, fifth term, and any number of term, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, it could be anything. So how do we find that? We simply replace n by that number. See, if it is 2n, if the general term is given by 2n and we needed to find the third term, how we will find the third term? We will replace n by 3. So if we replace n by 3, we get 2 into 3, that is 6. So our third term is 6. So that's how we find a third term. Now we need to find series. How we will find series? Series will be first term plus second term plus third term plus fourth term plus fifth term and so on. So we need to find all these terms and just put a plus sign in between them. This will become our series. So let's summarize what we learned today. We learned what is a sequence. A numbered collection of objects forms a sequence in which we can clearly tell which is the first one, which is the second object, which is the third object, and so on. Then we have finite and infinite sequence. If there are finite number of elements in the sequence, then it is called a finite sequence. If the sequence is not finite, then it is called infinite. Then we learn about what is the nth term. Nth term is the general term of a series, and it is represented by an equal to something. Then we learn what is a series. We have a sequence and we need to form a series or the sequence. How we form the series? We just add these objects, add these numbers, and we get a sequence. Then we learn if we are given the nth term and we need to have third and the fourth term, then what we need to do? We need to put n is equal to 3 and n is equal to 4 in this, and we will get a answer. So now do the corresponding exercise to this section, and yes, do that.